Up next, you worked a series of tag team matches with the Barbarian, and of course, we've spoken about Barb here on the show on a few occasions. But two specific pairings stand out for me. The first of these Jake is you and the Barbarian taking on Jim Duggan and Brad Armstrong in a couple matches back in the first part of May. And Brad is certainly known as a great worker, and Jim himself has said that he's more of a brawler than he is a wrestler. He likes to punch and kick more than he does wrestle.
His technique is left or right. Punch, left punch or right punch. That's what you got.
Now, what do you think about pairing two contrasting styles, like a technician like Brad and a brawler like Jim? Does that complement each other?
In an odd way. In an odd way. It could be interesting.
I guess, like most things, it kind of depends on how you do it, right?
Yep.
Now, for you personally, Jake, what style would you prefer to get into the ring with? More of a technician or more of a guy that you're going to be able to tell a story with, like Jim?
Technician. Yeah. I can do it with either one.
You know, it's you had really polished your technical skills by this point as well. Meaning, like you were able to do like a lot of the interesting transition type things, and kind of go hold for hold with people. And it makes me wonder, Jake, when do you feel like you got that part of your repertoire sort of dialed in?
In the early 80s. Probably
Okay,
80.
so maybe during your first run in Mid South.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I polished up then.
We've talked about Jim on a number of occasions on the show, and I'm sure we'll talk about him more. But I'm curious. Jim has told me that DiBiase influenced him a lot when it came to learning more about how to work. Did you ever offer Jim any advice?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'd like to think so.
He's one of those guys. He doesn't necessarily need to be a technician. He's a big guy. He's burly, and it sort of makes sense for him to be a brawler. But that being said, anybody needs to benefit from the psychology of pro wrestling. So I would imagine that that's an area where you'd kind of be like, hey Jim, maybe kind of think about doing it this way.
Yeah, the psychology is where I would have helped him.
This second run for you in Mid South, was this your first time around Hacksaw? Do you recall?
I believe it was. I
I'm
can't
trying.
be sure on that, but I believe it was.
I'm thinking back on both of your career timelines, and I know that he would like drop by Georgia at one point while you were there, but I think consistently you being around Jim, it probably would have been this time.
Yeah, it was this time.
So I mean, he's a big, charismatic, boisterous guy. Did you hit it off with Jim right out of the gate?
Yeah, right away, man. We were tight right away. We got along good together.
It's cool that he was able to kind of follow in your footsteps on the way to the WWF, and you guys could continue to travel together and have some fun. And it's interesting listening to Jim and him tell all these stories because it's kind of it's fun insight to hear what you guys would get into every once in a while when you're on the road.
Yeah, we stepped in shit a few times.